When I started to read Exodus 32, I wish someone was there to see me. I was by myself. But I read, the first few verses, and I just said out loud, "Are you serious? Are you kidding me? After everything? Okay, so let me start. The Israelites grew impatient waiting for Moses, and they said, "Hey, let's make a new God." Just like that, let's forget about the God that brought us out of Egypt, that brought us through, that parted the Red Sea. Like, that's incredible. And Pharaoh's armies were destroyed. I mean, time after time provided food from heaven so that they could be nourished. And just like that, they're just going to forget and grow impatient. And while I can easily sit here and criticize the Israelites for that, sometimes we do that too. Sometimes we grow impatient and we want what we want when we want it. And sometimes we'll do things before, God really wants us to. Sometimes he won't allow us to, but sometimes we'll kind of get ahead of ourselves, even if it means doing something that involves sin. So for example, Abraham didn't want to wait for his son, the promised son. And so Abraham and Sarah thought it was a good idea for Abraham to have a child with Sarah's maidservant, Hagar. And, if you read that story, that the son produced from that, Ishmael. There was just a lot of issues between Hagar and Sarah. Tons of issues, tons of conflict, a lot of sadness. And that sometimes can happen if we are just not patient and waiting on God. And besides which, I want to be the person that serves God and loves God and, it just always remembers God, not for what he's done for me. Of course, he's done great things for me, but just because I love him and he created me and, he sent his son to die for me. Nothing more than that. And so, yes, it's nice to have, I'm not saying that I don't wish for things to happen and I don't get frustrated, sometimes when they don't on my timing. All I'm saying is that I don't base my relationship and my faith on things, on circumstances, because God has it all planned out and he knows when it's going to happen. So don't be the type of person that bases your faith in God on what, you may or may not see happening around you. Paul was imprisoned and he wrote, so many parts of the Bible, chapters of the Bible from prison, talking about being content no matter what the situation. So just remember that. Anyway, a little bit of a tangent. So they asked Aaron to make them an idol, and he agreed. He didn't sway them. He was supposed to be in charge of these people. And if you're a leader of some sort, maybe you're a supervisor, or I don't know, it doesn't even have to be work. It could be a leader, at church. If you're a leader, wherever you are, if you lead people, that's a very important role. And you have to be very careful of that. Because a lot of people can be influenced or, they can be influenced by what you say or don't say. And I wonder if Aaron had stepped in and said, this is not right, we're not doing this, blah, 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 if it would have gotten as far as it did. But unfortunately, he did not. He did not have good control over these people. And then verse 4, it said, Aaron fashioned the idol with a tool. And it was a calf made out of gold from the jewelry that they were wearing. So he said, give me all your jewelry, let's put it in the fire and make something out of it. And so he fashioned the idol with a tool. And I read the whole chapter, and then I go back and then I read it again and take notes that time. And when I read the whole chapter, hopefully if you're listening to this, you already have. And I saw that he fashioned it with the tool. I remembered in verse, I think it's 24, where Aaron says, I just put the gold in the fire and it came out just like that. He was trying to tell Moses, I didn't make this idol. I just put the gold in the fire and it came out as a calf. He lied. So I thought it was funny that verse 4 clearly said that he fashioned the idol with a tool. He had to physically make it. So Aaron lied by saying he threw it into the fire and out came the calf. Yeah, that was verse 24. I didn't realize I wrote it. Verse 5, Aaron built an altar in front of the calf and they worshiped and sacrificed to it. Ridiculous. How ridiculous. Verse 7 through 10, God tells Moses about what the people are doing and urges him to return, calling them stiff-necked. One thing I like about the enduring word, I love enduring word. I did not use enduring word for this chapter. I kind of just took notes of my own. But what I was going to mention is one thing I like about the Bible app, the YouVersion Bible app, is that you can compare scripture. So for example, let me pull up a scripture. Okay, so if I wanted to compare, let's see, this verse, you can click on it. And if you wanted to compare multiple verses, you can click on those as well. And then there's a little button that says compare. And I like to look at the amplified version because sometimes that gives me a really good insight into what God is saying. So that's just one tool that I use for Bible study as well. Looking at other versions, especially the Amplified Bible, I feel like that's super helpful for learning what, the word is trying to say, what the text is trying to say. So the Amplified Bible describes stiff-necked as stubborn and rebellious. Verses 11 through 14, Moses pleads for God's favor on behalf of the Israelites, and God changed his mind about destroying them. Verses 15 through 20, Joshua, he was with Moses at the time, and I thought that was interesting too, because Joshua ends up leading the people into the promised land, and he wasn't involved in all this mess, but we'll learn about that later. The stone tablets broke because Moses was so angry. He burned the calf that they made, and he made them drink its powder in their water. So he was pretty upset. And, it was a righteous upset. How could you do this? After everything that you've seen, all the incredible things that you've seen, you're still continuing to not believe. That's incredible. Verse 21, Moses questions Aaron's leadership. Verses 22 through 24, Aaron twists the truth like I talked about before. He said, I just threw the gold in there and the calf came out, which he didn't. He made it out of his hands. Verses 26 through 29, Moses asked, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." And the word said that all the Levites rallied to him. Unfortunately, it wasn't anyone else from any other tribe. And then they were asked to kill those who did not side with God. So Moses said, those who are with God, come over here. And they had a sword, it said, and they were to kill everyone else. It's also said, lots of descriptive word, like the people were just kind of going a little bit crazy, it sounds like. Verses 31 through 35, Moses pleads with God to forgive their sin, and God urges Moses to go and lead the people to the promised land. And they were struck with the plague for worshiping a golden calf. So that's what ended up happening to them. So yeah, that was this chapter. It just gave me a really good reminder that we need to be patient with God's timing. His timing is always on time. Just be patient. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what other videos you would like me to film and post. I post a new Bible study video on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I've been getting a few questions about this. So this series in particular, I post every single Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Exodus 32 will be coming next Friday at 7. And I can't wait to study the Bible with you again. Bye.